Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with Monica Garnett. Excited to have her. She's a therapist from Los Angeles, California, but also licensed in Illinois, Nevada, and New Jersey. Also, she has a substance abuse license as well. It's garnettcounseling.com. Please welcome back to the show and tell us a little bit about your company and what you do.
Hi, yes. Well, thank you for having me again. And so my company, we specialize in individual, family, and couples therapy. We also have a few coaches. So we do we have life coaching and business coaching. Um, and so we've been here since 2021 and just really enjoy what we do.
Well, thank you for being here. We're excited to have you back. I know we have some great topics for the day, starting with the basics of, well, how do you even start to choose a therapist? And to be honest, there's a lot of confusion with all the letters and the titles and who does what and what
Yes.
serves who best. So please tell us a little bit about that. We'll start with maybe the qualifications of a therapist.
Sure. Well, actually, sometimes I like to start with the entire of, hey, I have a problem. What do I do next? And so what questions do I ask? How do I find that perfect therapist? And so someone actually told me that it's like looking for the perfect outfit.
Yeah, my go-to, it ends up being the same one every time. But yeah,
Absolutely.
Stress.
Exactly. But I like to think about it. I like that analogy, but I also think about it as looking for that relationship or planning to go to speed dating. And so having that list of qualifications of what you're looking for, some people prefer, great communicators. Some just want something for just the aesthetics. What are you looking for? And so that's where it goes to, how do I choose these qualifications? And so one of the things that I really encourage is for everyone to advocate for themselves, and to pre-plan. And so that pre-plan can look like that list, like, again, like that perfect person.
Yeah.
And even though there is no such thing, but anyways.
But of course.
Sorry, I pick on myself. But having that list, and so one is the theoretical approach. How are they? What do they ascribe to? What do they like? What do they use as far? What tools do they use? And so for me, one of my loves is CBT. I love cognitive behavioral therapy, but for some people, it doesn't fit. Someone in EDMR, excuse me.
Eye desensitization movement. Wait, what is it?
Yes.
Eye movement. Desensitization.
Excuse me.
Or I don't remember.
Eye rapid.
Oh, eye rapid.
I should know this.
No, it's okay. I'm putting you on the spot. I'm trying to be like, I think I know what that is. I know what it does.
Exactly.
I've heard of it before. But again, it's confusing because it's a long word. Yes.
Yes. And it's just one of the different approaches that's out there. And so all of that can be confusing. So when I talk to clients or even new clients during the consultation, what approach have you looked up? What do you think would best fit you? And so there's so many different ones that are out there. Psychodynamic, they're the behaviorist, which I am. There's also the humanistic approach, which I kind of love too. I love dabbling in that because that's more, it talks more about person-centered care. And then I encourage them to ask this question, not just stop at what theoretical approach you have, but tell me, what are the tools that you would give me according to what I'm coming with, my presenting problems? In other words, how would you best help me with the information that you have, with the approach that you use?
Okay.
And so one I'm actually finding is coming up a lot is experience. I have people say, oh, well, we chose you because we think you're a wise old sage because you've been in the field for over 15 years. So, we want someone who has that experience.
Yeah. Well,
know.
exciting to have you here. Monica Garnett, if you're just tuning in, don't forget, we're talking here about the importance of choosing a therapist that's right for you. And you say chemistry, not just relationships. How do you connect with your therapist?
Absolutely. Because sometimes the fit is not there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's the I use the word perfect, even though there's no such thing as perfect. Um, but it could be a great match as far as theoretical approach, ideas, just everything can connect, but that chemistry is not there. And so when in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
I say, do we force it? Hopefully not.
Yeah.
So let's not force it here.
Mm-hmm.
you know Another one is communication style.
Yeah.
Is the therapist a listener? are
Yeah.
they are they encouraging? um One of the things that I like to employ, which a lot of those in my field do, is which is called active listening.
Yeah.
And so we think of listening as just, you're sitting there and you're just taking the information in, but there's actually it's I almost want to say it's a physicality to it. There's a way
Mm-hmm.
to active listen, to be able to identify what's going on with the person, to even
Mm-hmm.
look deeper
Yeah.
based on what they're saying.
Got it.
So yeah, it's that's one of the definite things, communication. How do you want to talk? How will you talk to me?
Yeah. Well, and that's also could be intimidating and scary. Let's be honest, right? To talk
Absolutely.
to someone about me and my problems, I mean, and anyone in general, it's like there's like a wall there. Like, how can I trust her? What do you're embarrassed of your faults. You're shy, and you get anxiety. I think a lot of people must feel that way. So you got to make
Absolutely.
them really feel secure and let them know it's okay. And you have their
Abs-
back and you have that confidentiality pact and you have um and proof that this will help them whatever it is they need, you know?
Totally. And I love that. When you were saying that, I was getting excited because I'm just like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
um, because the thing is, the client is coming at a vulnerable time in their life.
Yeah.
And so absolutely, there's going to be some anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some hesitation, some concern.
Of course.
And so it's, how does the therapist make a safe space?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's
How?
supposed to be a safe space, it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be a trusting space.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Sorry, I just got, yay, I love it.
No, good. Goosebumps. You're helping people. This is a good thing. So,
Yeah.
let's talk more about you mentioned positive regard, communication style, and the purpose of getting that proper consultation.
Yes. And so all of these things, I always encourage everyone to get that 15-minute consultation. Some therapists have it, some do not, but always, I'm a person, when I jump into the pool or when I go
Mm-hmm.
to the pool, I don't go immediately to the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a waiter. I don't know if that's a word, but if it isn't, I'm making it up.
Yeah.
And so I like to just walk into the pool and just feel how the temperature is,
Yeah.
the level of the water, just become comfortable.
Yeah.
And so in looking for a therapist, some may just say, okay, I see someone, I'm just going to call. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just, wait a minute. It's you have power in this decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so obtaining all that information as far as what you want, and
And
then asking for a consultation. And so the consultation actually serves both ways. For the client, it lets them know, is this the perfect fit for me? Can this therapist meet my needs? Kind of going back to what you were saying as far as it being difficult. Oh,
drop my mouse. Sorry, it happens all the
oh,
time.
sure.
Go ahead. Got it.
Okay. But as far as the conversation being difficult,
Mm-hmm.
how do they help me when it is difficult?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are some of the things that they say? What are some of the things that they can do? And then also, what is their role in therapy?
Yeah.
Are they leaders? Are they cheerleaders? Are they just quiet where they just sit like a mouse and just take everything in?
Yeah.
You know, are they collaborative where they walk right beside you when you're healing?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? What role do they play?
True. Yeah.
And so for the consultation, it also serves for the therapist as well, because we have to do our due diligence to make sure it's a good fit,
Mm-hmm.
because if it's not, we can do more harm to the client.
Yeah.
And that is not something that we want to do. So there are a few steps in there. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping those who are listening just, it's daunting, just to say, hey, I have a problem. But hey, you have the power to figure out what are the next steps to take,
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely. Well, let's remind everyone at this time how we can reach you. Do you mind sharing
Sure.
all forms of contact, please?
Absolutely. My number is 888-427-6006. And my website is garnettcounseling.com. So that is GarnettCounseling.com. And I'm also on, Facebook under Garnett Counseling, and Instagram under Garnett_counseling.
Aw, thank you so much. All right, let's continue the conversation today, please.
Abs-
Monica Garnett, again, if you're just tuning in, she's here talking about the therapy she does. And, what's the purpose of a consultation? Could you talk a little bit about that? And we'll go over some of the beginning rules, the first intake session.
Sure. If I were to go with the analogy of meeting someone,
Mm-hmm.
I would say the consultation could be like the first phone call, or excuse me, the first phone call or text. It's
Okay.
just the contact that's made to say, oh, okay. And where you're just kind of looking and seeing, okay, this person sounds like they're okay, or this person does not, run the other way. And so with the therapy, with the consultation, it's doing just that.
Ah,
And for the client, and then for the therapist, it's just, what, I think this may not be a good fit, or I think this may be a good fit.
yeah.
And if it's not a good fit, we have to do our due diligence to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that we refer you to someone who may be.
And that's important, right? Not leave you
Oh,
hanging
yeah.
high and dry.
Absolutely. And so one of the biggest things too, I want people to understand, I would love for people to understand, excuse me, if that does happen, if the therapist says, you know what, I'm sorry, I don't think this is going to be a good fit. It's not personal. It is not personal. It's not about the client. It's just about the chemistry and about the
Mm-hmm.
connection. And we want to make sure that you're not led down the wrong path.
Yep.
So
Good.
yes.
All right, good. Also, let's talk a little bit about maybe that intake session. What did we need to know? Go over some assessment tools to the process, please.
Okay. So in the first session,
And
it's
now
the
hold on, my backdrop
oh,
just fell. Don't
sure.
you love when that
Uh-oh.
happens? Oh, it's been broken for months and I've been trying my best to keep it. But go ahead, sweetheart. I'm here.
Oh no. No, well, the first session is the intake session, and
Yeah.
it's the question section.
Yeah.
It's when we go further, a little, ask if maybe some of the same questions and from the consultation, but go a little further with determining not just the problem, but what brings the person there. You know,
Yeah.
what goals can we look into and work on? And so the intake session at the end of it, I hope you don't hear that background noise.
I do, but it's okay. We all have background
Thank you.
noise.
Okay.
It's
I
all
tell you,
good. You're
it's a
sweet.
day.
I hear you.
Yeah, I have an 18-year-old cat who he's in the room, but I
God
can
bless
hear
him. My
him.
14-year-old passed a few months ago. My 14-year-old cat. I have a 6 and 8-year-old. And sometimes I'm working in their home. Think about that. I get it. Please, it's fine.
Thank you. Thank you. It's amazing you hear through the earphones, but yeah. But the first intake they're going to be the questions. And so I encourage everyone, of course, the therapist is going to ask questions because they want to make sure that they have the right proper information to best work with you and to best help you. But at the same time, I also encourage clients, don't stop asking questions. This is not a time to say, okay, well, you know what? I've committed to it. I'm not going to ask any more questions. No, continue, because it's a partnership. And so the first session, it's the first step in forming that partnership. So of course, like I said, the therapist is going to ask questions um, to help form the problem, and then also determine the goal for therapy. Where do we want to go with this? Where do we want to go on this road trip? So we can figure out where do we want to go, and not only where do we want to go, but what steps do we need to take to get there?
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so in addition to the questions, there may be assessment tools, and sometimes they come in the form of questionnaires. And so they are also helpful in forming a diagnosis. So, yeah.
Do you want to talk about some of the assessment tools in particular?
The two, I use a few, but for those who present with sadness per se, anxiety symptoms, I usually use what is called the GAD-7, which is the generalized anxiety disorder tool, and the PHQ-9, which is the patient health questionnaire. And so the GAD-7, the generalized anxiety disorder tool, it tests for anxiety, anxious symptoms. And I actually like to use it and integrate it in the questions that I ask in my assessment or my intake. Same thing with the PHQ-9, which is the patient health questionnaire. I like to use that as well to test for sadness. What exactly is going on here? And it's pretty helpful. Pretty helpful. There's
And
other
then,
skills.
oh, go
Okay,
ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
No,
please
no, no, no.
mention more. It's okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say there's other skills to use as well to test for substance abuse. There's tools for children. There's tools for and I had one and I just lost. And PTSD.
And PTSD, not even when I think about that, it's not just people in war, right? Could you talk about
Yeah.
post-traumatic stress disorder and what that is?
Sure. Usually it's a traumatic, it's a response from a traumatic event that's been over 90 days. And so they're still having the symptoms. So with PTSD, um, symptoms can include hypervigilance, sleep problems. They can also bring, sometimes I explain it like this. And so I say they bring their counterparts, which can be anxiety. They can bring depression. So you can have some PTSD symptoms, but also have symptoms of anxiety, where there's the excessive worry, the excessive fear, like I said, the hypervigilance,
Yeah.
just looking over their shoulders, being on all the time.
Ah,
And then the sadness of, just being withdrawn, isolating. Um, and sometimes they're met with substance abuse. So that can just kind of, it's like I'm going in a different realm, but that can just, some people use substance abuse to address it as well,
got
which
it.
goes into another part. But yeah.
And just curious, as a mental health counselor, we're talking to Monica Garnett. What specific type of counselor are you? That also gets confusing where people say, "Do I need to go to someone? Do I need medication? Do I need not like? Do I need a life coach? Can I use it?" Like, it gets confusing, like some of the things that you can help people with, the types of traumas in their life. Could you just share some examples?
Absolutely. Well, I first thing with the psychiatrist. So I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a psychologist, or I'm a therapist. And so the differences are, the psychiatrist has a medical background.
Mm-hmm.
So they manage with medication. Psychologists, they have their doctorates. So they go just a little bit further. And then there's therapists who have their masters, but they're also licensed in the particular states that they practice. And then there's also, and I'll say for my team, we have substance abuse specialists
Mm-hmm.
where they are certified. It's a combination of certification experience and having their being master prepared.
Got it. All right. And let's talk a little about, how to answer difficult questions. I know you wanted to talk about breaks are okay if needed, and also about mindfulness in a sense.
Absolutely. And this is more towards when it's like you were saying, when the questions are difficult, when the client is feeling like they're in a difficult place. And like I tell my clients that I'm not a mind reader, but I can read your face. But sometimes I can't read it correctly. So just let me know. And sometimes, they may be in a place, well, you know what, I can soldier through it. I can brave through it. So I don't have to let this person know. And so one of the things is, well, I just said it, ask, say something,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is difficult. And, or if you don't feel comfortable with that, use a little distraction. I have some clients that use tactile things, whether it's a squeegee ball, a stress ball. I've had someone tell me that they've had a smooth rock they've had for years. And so when things become difficult for them, they just take the rock out and they just rub it. You know, I have some who tap, we just tap our way through the session and it's okay.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is, as therapy is so rewarding, but at the same time, there are sometimes where the trek may seem like it's a little challenging.
Overwhelming.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes. I love that word because that's exactly what it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it is overwhelming, how can you best help yourself? And I always say, tag me in, tag me in. But if I say they're not tagging me in, what can you do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We still got that 3 minutes left in the show, Monica. What else did you want to add to this?
You know what? Uh, I always seem to fall short a few minutes.
No, you don't.
Oh, thank you.
You're good. Just normal
Thank you.
conversation. We got this.
Absolutely. And oh, I do want to add this recommendations. Sometimes in the intake or after the intake, there'll be certain recommendations that the therapist will ask for. One is a medical examination.
Okay.
And I've had clients say, well, why should I get a physical
Yeah.
or a physical exam? Well, the
Mm-hmm.
thing with physicals, they're helpful in ruling out medical disorders that look like mental health disorders because it can happen. And so I've had a few where they were able to obtain their physical excuse me, their physical examination, and we were able to rule out depression.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know it was this all this time." So they were
Mm-hmm.
able to go back to their doctor and say, "Okay, well, this is what's going on. Maybe we need to fix some things here."
Well, got it.
And so that is very helpful. That is a big recommendation.
Good.
And sometimes we may recommend a specialist. And this goes back to the fit again. So if there's a therapist whose background is only working, um, oh, let's say school age children, and they have an older adult who has an eating disorder, they may say, well, I would love to work with you. However, that's not my specialty. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll refer you to someone who specializes in this area.
Aw, good. Well, that's kind of you.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Remind us again what states you're able to practice in.
Nevada, Virginia. I almost said Virginia. Waiting for Virginia. Nevada, New Jersey, California, and Illinois.
Perfect. And if someone does want to reach out to you, please share all forms of contact.
Sure. It's 888-427-6006 and garnettcounseling.com, which is GarnettCounseling.com. And Monica Garnett, excuse me, Garnett Counseling for Facebook and Garnett_counseling on Instagram.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you back here. Always good to talk to you. Beautiful
Thank
smile.
you.
Good luck to your kitty cat. 18. God bless. Oh my goodness. I have one
Gosh.
cat, Precious Pumpkin. She lived till she was 18 too. So
Oh my
that's old
gosh.
for kitty cats.
Yes.
And
And
how
he's still
vocal at
running.
this age. Wow. She's
And he
still
still
going
has,
fierce.
yes, he is. And still has zoomies, which is it's not so fun in the middle of the night. But yeah, he's fun.
Uh-huh. All right, Monica, thank you so much for being here, kind of breaking down what you do and explaining it to people, how we can get help that we need. And again, don't be embarrassed. Don't be fearful. And I look at it this way. It could be silly to some people, but I watch the news, right? Don't we all? We look up to celebrities sometimes, maybe too much. We shouldn't, but they're all talking about their mental health. You think someone has everything, and all of a sudden it's like, why is this one committing suicide? Why is this one depressed? What? And the fact that more people are speaking out, and I say celebrities because it's really kind of more what you hear on television and stuff. It just makes you feel like we are not alone. It's normal,
Yes.
And there's help out there.
Sure is.
Thanks to people like Monica Garnett. You have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. And to all of our listeners, stay tuned. More of the show is on the way. Thanks, Monica. Enjoy your day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.